Welcome to the Footy Show Daily, as we continue to try and keep you up to date with everything that's changing in this mad world at the moment. And it does seem to change daily. New things getting said, new people coming out and saying things. We've had the likes of Rick Parry and Steve Parish having their say today in different environments. Rick Parry spoke to MPs, I think, in a select committee meeting. I think he's in charge of the Football League, isn't he now?
Football League, yeah.
And essentially what he said is he basically guaranteed that there will be promotion to the Premier League and relegation from the Premier League this year, which is
Shut the games we played.
Which is a massive comfort, I imagine, to the likes of Leeds and West Brom. God knows how they're going to start their season, because there's no the actual chat about their season starting yet, which is mad. All the talk is about the Premier League. So, but he believes that there's going to be a £200 million gaping hole, shortfall by the time the next season starts, because at the moment, you know, we're all fixated on finishing this season off, but people aren't looking down that road at the moment. So, interesting comments from him.
Yeah, he's saying that the 200 million financial hole by September. He said he's targeted a proper reset, as he gave evidence to digital culture, media and sports system. He admitted it was difficult to answer whether clubs would go out of business or not. He says, we'd like to emerge stronger and leaner with a proper set of resets post-COVID. We are heading for a financial hole of £200 million by the end of September. Clubs are stacking up creditors and there's a great deal of uncertainties. We have asked for everybody to share the pain. We really are having an open book policy, and we're going to show the players how deep the pain is. We're absolutely on board with the Deloitte process. Obviously, Deloitte and Touche coming in to have a look at everything there. And that's the real issue. We keep talking about the Premier League because obviously that's the big news, and we're part of the Premier League. But the reality is the Football League, I don't see any way it can come back, because just going through, not just for this season, I mean, I don't mean for next season, but going through the restrictions or the things that we're having to do to try to get these Premier League games done for 20 teams. How can you do that for 91 teams?
And the most worrying thing about that is that they're going to be the ones affected most. The Premier League, if it didn't play the games, it would hit them, but it wouldn't hit them as hard as it would hit obviously League One and League Two teams. And obviously Championship, it would hit them. I mean, we've already spoke about the likes of Leeds, that they've budgeted. I mean, that's up to them, but football's not exact science. You know, they've put all their eggs in one basket, and it's going the way, you know, they expected it to go. And if that's taken off them, then that's gonna leave a massive issue. So I find it strange that we're not talking about them enough. That plan isn't out there. I don't know whether it's almost like they're allowing the Premier League to take all the brunt. But when you listen to the neutral ground situation, and, you know, that's coming from the police, and that's coming from the bodies involved, that obviously are trying to make it so that these neutral venues are places that aren't smack bang in the middle of cities. You know, maybe ones on the outskirts with newer stadiums that they can I say the word protect, and that's what it feels like. But it is protecting in a medical sense, isn't it? How would you do that in the lower leagues? Do you know what I mean? Because even if you said we're going to have neutral venues for them and we're going to use, say, Premier League grounds, how do you do that? I just find that very strange.
Find 45 matches every week to be able to do it. You can't. Yeah. You can't. You have 45 stadiums with neutral grounds, or, you know, even if you're splitting them over 2 days, you're still having a lot of work to do to try to do it. To me, I don't know how they're going to come up with something that everybody can. People are always going to be unhappy, and rightly so. There's not going to be anybody that. Well, there might be 3 Premier League clubs that are quite happy if the relegation scrap, but in general, there's going to be. Nobody is going to be perfectly happy. Not everybody's going to be perfectly happy with the outcomes. For League One, League Two, I don't know. I look at Sunderland. You watch that Sunderland Till I Die documentary, you see how much money they're losing a year because of the way things have gone. Now, okay, the fella managed to reduce it down a bit, but it's still 20-30 million pound a year or something that they're losing. If you're now saying there's no promote, I know that there's no guarantee they get promoted, but there's a point, or they're on level points with 3 other teams in those playoff spots, so they've got an opportunity of being in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They budgeting to get it back into the Championship where there's a little bit more money.
I just find it very strange that we are a couple of weeks away from having to put a decision out there, and there doesn't seem to be any talk either way of what's happening in those divisions, which is incredible.
Are they just waiting for someone to say, this is the trade-off, we'll give you'll all get certain amounts of money? Do you think they'll be used as the merit system?
Where does that money come from, though? Because I know Rick Parry said today he's looking for solidarity from the Premier League, and that's right, because the Premier League is fixated on being finished, and I can understand why, especially if talks behind the scenes are, we'll help you out. You're going to have to take the brunt of not playing your games, whether you call it a brunt or not. We'll play the games and we'll pass that money on to you, and we'll do what we need to do to make sure that promotion happens, relegation happens, and you're all looked after. And I just wonder whether that's the trade-off that they're going to play into.
They're going to have to, aren't they? They're going to have, or they're going to... I suppose the clubs are just... Those clubs will all be at the mercy of what the Football League decides, what everyone decides. Some clubs might be happy to go, we're happy to finish or whatever. Other clubs will be wanting to get in playoffs, and get promoted.
But it actually sounds like they're at the mercy of the Premier League, not necessarily the Football League, because it is a top-down system, isn't it, by the looks of it? And if the Premier League can't get their house in order, there's no point, is there? And that's the worry, I think. But yeah, and we've had different comments today as well. Steve Parish has said, Chairman of Crystal Palace, saying, clubs have got to get behind the neutral venues because that's the least worst idea, essentially.
He says, talking about the bottom 3, I said in this meeting, and I honestly believe that I will be saying the same thing. I do fear that people aren't looking far enough down the road and seeing the consequences of us not playing. And then the best way to resolve that is to do so competitively. So he's talking about you've still got to have relegation. So he's kind of backing up what Rick Parry said. It's the least worst option. That's the neutral ground thing. That's the territory we're in with life at the moment. Next season, in all likelihood, we'll start with neutral grounds, which I think's mad. And I'm sure we'd all like to get back into our stadiums as soon as possible. There will be a distortion of the competition that way round anyway. All the pitches are pretty much the same size. An empty stadium's an empty stadium. I think it'll be a level playing field from when we start. As with any season, there'll be bumps and idiosyncrasies. You can have injuries, blah, blah, blah. Luck plays a part, and I'm sure most clubs will now have a fully fit squad and it swings and roundabouts. So... He's just saying people don't fully understand the situation we're in. If we don't restart playing games, clubs will go to the wall.
But the problem is, though, right? When he says that, I don't know whether he's talking about people within the game or people outside the game. But people don't
both.
But we said this a couple of times on this show, is that we are clearly not getting the full picture on this as football fans. It feels like they're not telling us that financially.
What do you think we're not getting told?
I think financially, this is a lot worse than
we're being
led to believe. And I think what's actually happened is they never came out at the beginning and fully understood I don't know whether they did or they didn't, but when a lot of teams, and Everton did this, come out straight away, and some of them were like, we're not furloughing anybody. I think they should have got together beforehand as football, as the Premier League, and come out and made decisions together. Because I think by a couple of them going out and furloughing, and everyone else going, we'd never do that, and we were one of those clubs, and Man United, we'd never do it. I think they've backed themselves into a corner now where they can't do that, and as it goes on, some of them might be looking over their shoulder now, going.
Do you think they should have done, from a business perspective? Take your hat off. Hang on.
No.
Take like your socialist hat off and all that, right? From a business perspective.
Furloughing actually is a socialist thing if you think about it, so that doesn't really matter.
All right, okay. So then Everton are a business.
Yeah.
Same way as Liverpool are a business, the same way as the other Premier League clubs are a business. So if you're looking at a business, if we employed 5 staff here, and we were like, listen, the only way to kind of get us through the next few months is we're all going to be furloughed and we're going to this government scheme, then you would do it because that's dragging you through the mire.
I've got no problem with furloughing. It needs to be done. People would be on the dole otherwise, and it would be a strain in another way. So it wouldn't really make a difference.
So if Everton come out and furlough the staff, you'd be okay?
No,
with
but
it?
I think the problem is, and this is what I'm saying, is that from the start, football clubs went their own way.
Yeah.
And they never got together and said, I think what should have happened, maybe now looking at it, is that football clubs should have. Do
you think they all should have furloughed?
No. What I'm saying is, I think they've all jumped in, right, with 2 feet, without talking to each other and grasping the larger situation of. So I think Steve Parish might have made a point today where he said, why should we be getting paid for a product that we're not putting out? And I think the talk, that's not now, that's August when you start again.
He's saying people don't fully understand just how bad the situation we will be in if we at least don't try and get the games done, which is what we've said, haven't we, anyway. We've got to try and bring a lot of people with us to do that, not least the players. The players not only have to be safe, they have to feel safe. And we need to explain to them how we will make that environment as safe as we possibly can and remove any unnecessary risks. A lot of work and planning needs to go into it. We will get there. The environment will almost decide if we can do it. If we can't, it's very likely this will look the same as it does now in August and September.
Because there's no difference.
All of the things we're talking about, neutral grounds, etc., will all still be present next year. It's going to be a very different product. Right, hang on, because he gets onto it. We already know that we're seriously damaged. We've got no crowds. The sponsorship market is largely gone, which is scary. There is no food or hospitality revenue. The only thing we will have left for some time is the broadcast revenue. This product will look very different. Right now, we have no visibility past August for any revenue. It's a serious situation for football. It cannot come in front of what's going on because the public health crisis is the absolute priority for this country. But this is going to be an incredibly significant week for the future of football.
And this is what I'm saying, is that I think that when they've come out at the beginning and some of them have furloughed and some of them have pushed the chest out and said, we're not going to furlough, I think really in hindsight, they should have had that meeting where they should have got round the table, a Zoom table, and come to a group decision on things like furlough and actually put something out at the beginning and said, at the moment, we're not going to be furloughed. We're going to look after our staff. But there might become a point where we might have to do this. Because as businesses, and this is why I'm saying as a league, because Burnley's situation is a lot worse, is a lot different, worse than Man City's situation. But by some teams, and we've seen this already, and we've played our part in this, you're making some teams look like bad guys without fully understanding the situation because we don't, and we're still not being told the situation. It's dead easy for us to sit here and say, oh, just null and void it doesn't matter. Steve Parish is giving you a serious look into football and saying, there mightn't be any footy come past August because we ain't got a product. So why would TV companies pay us? And he's absolutely right. What that happens in June will be exactly the same what happens in September. Nothing will change. If there's no if there's no vaccine, right, which there won't be in September.
But we'll have 4 months more education about it.
But there's no vaccine. It doesn't matter about anything else. If there's no vaccine.
I watched a professor yesterday saying this could either flare up again or burn out like a fire.
No, I know, but
they don't know.
They're not going to play games out. They're not going to play games without a vaccine now. Because Dean Smith's come out today. Well, that's the argument, though, isn't it? They're not going to start. They're going to play games. They're not going to play games in front of crowds.
No crowd.
Sorry. And
thought you meant
no. Sorry.
Yeah,
but what's dead interesting is Dean Smith come out today and he spoke and he said, "I'm not going to have two of my players." He said one's got asthma, and he said the other one has got a relative who I think he said in remission who lives with them. He said, "I can't play those two players."
Yeah.
Now, this is what I'm saying. It's like these are the things that you don't get told as football clubs. No, like I don't know how many players have got asthma, but remember when we had Delafeu? Delafeu's got asthma, so
no one said the word.
No one, but you could tell sometimes.
People slagged them off.
But you could tell sometimes in his performances how he was struggling.
I know, but that's the thing. This is a thing about football in general. If Everton would have come out then at that time and gone, Gerard Delafeu has asthma, I think some fans would have given him less of a rough ride. You look at someone going, he's not even fit. That's what I used to.
But isn't that almost exposing your play? Isn't that almost letting the opposition know you've got a weakness?
But it doesn't matter.
No, I know, but
he's got it.
That's football, isn't it?
You can't exasperate his
I remember
asthma.
when I was a kid and I was playing, when I was a teen, I was playing in men's teams and you'd be like, "Oh, I'm knackered," and don't let them know you've got a weakness.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is...
But that's what I feel about football as a whole at the moment. It doesn't want to let down this exterior of we're the Premier League.
It's the Wizard of Oz.
Where what Steve Parrish said today is really interesting because he's basically saying, some of us are on our arse here. And I just think they've backed themselves.
A lot of them are on their arse.
I know.
The champions elect are on their arse.
I know. But I think
we'll be on our arse.
What they've done is they've backed themselves into a corner by not at the beginning getting hold of this situation and saying, because again, it's that.
Do you know what the problem is, right? If they'd have come out immediately at a meeting, come out and gone, we're going to be furloughing like every other big business because we have to, right? As a league, yeah? Because our finances are dictated by playing games and by the television. Everyone, I think, would have gone, yeah, all right. This whole thing really kicked off with Spurs, and it kicked off because it got out into the papers that they were going to be furloughing, and also they were asking every member of staff, bar Daniel Levy and the players to take a 20% pay cut. If Daniel Levy would have come out and gone, club-wide, players, staff, me, the dinner lady, whatever, we're all having to take a 20% pay cut because that'll protect Tottenham Hotspur Football Club and it'll protect the members of the staff and everything, then I think people would be more understanding with it, right? And with the whole thing, like you're saying, with the finances, you're right. 3 or 4 teams come out and furloughed, and everyone else was like, we're not doing it. And then people start going, hang on, so you don't need to furlough your staff, so you've got loads of money, right? Use your knobheads for furloughing or whatever.
Yeah.
When really, if they'd have come out and gone, our finances massively depend on playing football games. They just do. We put this thing up, and this, hopefully at the other side, because everyone's talking, and I'm a firm believer in it. Football will look totally different. This is going to change football massively, and I hope it changes the nonsense of transfer fees, and because when you've got
wages,
people come and wages, when you've got people like Steve Parrish, who I actually really like, I think he's a great fella. You've got him a chairman of a Premier League football club. Palace are a good Premier League club. They're always in the Premier League, not really in danger of going down. He knows it.
And they're a good community club as well.
And a good community club. When you've got him coming out going, yeah, we might have a product in, because I can't forecast next season. And that tells you and tells me and tells everybody, transfer fees have got to go. Well, they've got to be smaller, wages have got to be smaller, and they have to be a little bit more realistic.
I think also, though, contracts shouldn't be so cast iron in terms of what you're giving people, because we've had this thing of
performance-related pay.
What we've had this is we've had players, I'm not taking a wage, but some people saying, don't take a wage cut, you don't know where it's going.
PFA.
No, I know, and whether you agree with it or you don't agree with it, I think what you just said there, the performance-related pay, things like that need to be looked at. But I just think, like we were just saying then, is that football came out and it just puffed out its chest, and some of them were like, and that's, you're right, they were like, some of them were like, we're furloughing, and others were like, well, we're not furloughing, we're better than you, we're better. Whereas got themselves out of the table. And what they should have said is this is probably what they should have said is, they've come out and straight away and said, as a Premier League, we're not going to furlough anyone. But this might change depending on
how long it goes on for.
Whatever. We want to get back playing, but if we can't get back playing, and this season has to be called null and void, which they keep on saying, they keep on using the media rather than come out and saying things. I think in the last couple of days we started to hear from chairman now, and that's what should have been getting done from the start, or from the league, being realistic instead of like being, oh, we're the Premier League. It's not going. We're in a completely different world now.
They were told they'd be back in 3 weeks when it got stopped. That's what they thought.
Well, again,
they thought they'd be playing in 3 weeks.
But again, though, maybe if they hadn't painted themselves into that corner of we won't, because you've got to be realistic about it now and say at some point, if they can't get the season started logistically finish this season, then maybe they're going to have to start furloughing. But that's going to be like a heavy U-turn.
No,
I know.
But when you're faced with
yeah,
losing money or business or potentially going out of business.
See, some clubs will go, we never said we weren't going to furlough.
We just didn't say anything.
But some clubs will be like, oh dear me, we've said things that we shouldn't have said or whatever. And then those clubs that, well, it
can change. They can have a meeting again and they can come and get a statement and go,
that's what I'm saying. No,
unprecedented, blah, 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 blah.
I just don't think they've been very transparent about this whole thing. I think, listen, this is, like they said, it's a big week in terms of, at the end of the week, we're all expecting this roadmap of how we're going to get out of the situation, or as general public. So I just think it seems like the Premier League might just be waiting for that.
There's a meeting again, isn't it, this
Friday. And then, but they'll probably be told, I imagine, in that meeting by the government. And then they'll probably latch on to what the government will go.
Well, there's going to be, I said this yesterday, I think. I disagree with lockdown being eased at the moment, because I think we're starting to see the positive side of lockdown now in terms of the numbers coming through and what they're developing. And I think another period of lockdown would really help. I think personally, I'd do 6 weeks.
Well, you might as well go over the top than under.
Yeah, exactly. And because we got so far, why undo the good work? But there might be a couple of things within that which help them kind of get back, I suppose, because if the testing and this, that, and the other will enable the football clubs to train again. I think whatever the Prime Minister says or his government say on Thursday, I think they're having another. Is it Thursday?
It's Thursday.
They've got a meeting on
Thursday to renew it.
Yeah.
But it's Sunday to put the strategy out, apparently.
Okay, so ideally he will say it's locked down for 3 more weeks, then we're going to ease it.
It has to be looked at every 21 days.
Bang, right?
Thursdays are 21 days.
So hopefully he says another 3 weeks. And then we can start to do this, this and this. Because if they give you that roadmap, people will look then and go, right, okay, so we've got an idea of that, and we've got an idea of that. And things are leaking out, aren't they? Public transport to be masks and things like that to start with. So therefore, that will probably allow the football clubs to go back kind of into training. We all know it's going to resume in the middle of June. That's June the 12th is the date. It was the 8th, but they pushed it to the 12th because of what's happening.
Yeah, I think...
And therefore,
I think the problem is though it's not necessarily. Listen, we've heard another thing today, saying, was it PFA saying 45 less? We don't want 45-minute halves.
Yeah. Well,
I think the
that
problem
was
is,
one of the things they tried.
I think the problem is that they all want it back for June 12th, let's say, but they haven't agreed clearly on certainly the neutral grounds. That seems to be the big. It was neutral grounds versus the threat of relegation. Now, Rick Parry's saying there's definitely going to be relegation. So that seems to blow that off the table. Now, you wonder what the Premier League have give up for that. So Rick Parrish has come out and said neutral grounds is the best we can do.
Next season.
And the police are saying it's got to be neutral grounds. And all the safety officers are saying it's got to be neutral grounds. And that's why it seems that St George's Park's off the table, because they can't secure, because it's a massive place. I mean, I've been very lucky. I've been to St George. It's a massive place.
Yeah.
There's entry points all over the place. So it's not. It couldn't really be policed because you literally you don't. It's huge. So they're going to have to come to, and I don't know whether that means saying to whoever the 3 teams are, well, we'll give you extra money. I don't know. But really, they shouldn't get any extra money. But I don't know. There's going to have to be something sorted. But
there's still
discussion.
a lot of things that needs ironing out, obviously. But I think if they've got to use the word roadmap in their mind as well, and they go to Unit 12, it came up yesterday, the 10 grams they want to use.
Yeah.
So if they're right, so they've got the grams nailed down, they've got the date nailed down. Now it's about the relegation. It's about how we do it. The only thing which what Steve Parish has said today, which I find difficult to understand, is him saying we'll be in neutral grounds for the start of next season, August or September. What happens with all the other fixtures then? For I'm talking about the Football League, the Championship.
I don't think to him that matters.
No,
and I mean that just from a, that's not his problem.
So, and that's fine, right? Because he's at the Palace will be a Premier League club next season, so he's probably, fair enough, he's not interested. Fine. But if you're Championship, League 1, League 2, we're talking starting the season in September, then they're not going to play at neutral venues. And why are we playing at neutral venues? Just because we can deep clean them? Or is it to stop fans gathering?
It's to stop fans.
So are they kind of saying, well, fans aren't really going to gather in August and September because it's not the business end of the season. It's early door.
No, I think they just have to put that consideration how you can police a ground.
Because if that's a thing, right? Then the Premier League can come back in September. Because they can do that. Football League can't.
No, but that's what I'm saying. No one's talking about the Football League. Do you think that if the Premier League clubs came out and were a little bit more honest about how this can affect them and how this will affect them, do you think there'd be more sympathy to start the season from fans? If you were to come out and say, listen, if we don't get ourselves sorted and you don't give us a chance to start this, football for the next 3 or 4 years could be very, very different in terms of another way every summer you want us to buy players, we won't be able to. And the league, because we can't buy good players, will start to suffer because we won't be able to bring in all. So the product will suffer. And as a fan of a club, you're like, oh, we want this player. You're not going to get those players. Do you think that sympathy would be there if they started relating that to us rather than sort of keeping this Premier League exterior of we're the biggest league in the world? Because I think that's where they're suffering at the moment. I still think there's a lot of resistance from people who are just like null and void it, and you're getting this conflict, Liverpool fans versus everyone else or whatever. You know, I do find it quite strange that they're still keeping up this pretense that everything will be all right when, quite frankly, it won't.
I can't answer it, mate. Because
Would you rather?
I'd rather them come out and say it how it is, 100%. I'd rather them come out and go. I don't know whether, while people are dying, as numbers they are, and it's great they fall, and I haven't seen today's numbers, so I don't know.
But they're going to fall, aren't
right?
they?
No, but that's good, because it means that at last things and measures are actually working. So that makes you feel a little bit safer when you see them numbers dropping. We talked about the rate of infections right down. That's great. So that means that there'll be a little bit more of an appetite. Once they continue to drop, people will go, okay, it feels like we've got a handle on it now. Now I can start to think about other things as well. Of course, I've still got to be careful and social distancing, although I went past the shop before and people were stood right next to each other. I thought, what's going on? But then your appetite changes. Then you start going, oh, football, right? If they come out and went, this is the clear and hard facts. If we lose 40 million as Everton, we lose 40 million pounds, we can't buy a player this summer. Loads of Evertonians would go, I want us to play the games then, because me football head on, I want us to improve. We haven't been good enough this season with that squad, so you're telling me I've got to watch that squad again, now, albeit in very different circumstances next season. So I think people would be Not everyone. Loads of people that probably still say I don't care about football. This is a worrying, scary time. Football's irrelevant to me. And I get that as well. I'm not telling people how to think. But football is a business. It's something we love. I think you said it yesterday that it's, or someone had said it, it's
nonsense.
It's nonsense, but it's the best nonsense. And we buy into it. We love it. But of course, against people's lives, it doesn't mean anything. But we love football. And it affects so many people's lives because there's the amounts of people. I seen a fact yesterday about the top division. It brings in 2.9 billion of something, and it goes down. Everything the top flight does tax-wise and employs directly football clubs in the Premier League employ 12,000 people. And then if you include match day staff and all that, it's 100,000 people. So that's 100,000 people with a job because of this product.
It helps the employment figures.
But there you go. So it's things like that. But then people are relying on that to put food on the table for the family and to feed themselves, and so they're not homeless. So there is that we have to balance as well. Like, yeah, it feels sometimes a little bit like, oh, it's a game, it's only a game. But there is a real business underneath it. Are we prepared to let 100,000 people become unemployed and then have their own struggles with that? So I think you're right. I think if the football clubs come out and us went, listen, this is how it is. We need to play the games. If we don't play the games, forget buying players. We'll have to sell some players if we can get money for them. Blah-de-blah, because we're reliant on that money.
I think next week, if there's something being put out there, whether you agree with it or not, if something is put out there by the government that says, this is how we are going to get back to
a sense of normality.
Normal life. These are the stages. If, let's say, there's a stage in June, and I imagine this is what they'll be working with. On June the 12th, you normal person over there, if you are in a certain kind of job, you can go back to that job. Oh, we're footballers, we can go back to that job.
That's it.
Then that's when the Premier League will have that statement out within 15 minutes going, we'll be back on the June 12th. We are covered by this thing. That
the government minister, one of the sports ministers of the government have already said they want it back. The Premier League clubs will know what the plan looks like, so they can go, right, we can factor that in for that date. And you're absolutely right, on that date it'll be, we can do this, that fits in with that box, there's the tick.
And then football gets it out by saying we're following what the government, we're not doing anything different than what the bus driver's doing or whatever that's doing. The only difference is, because people will go, hang on, what about social distancing? Well, we're having so many tests a week that we privately sourced. The NHS doesn't need as many of that thing anymore. Or we're not buying the same tests in. We're getting our own one from somewhere else.
Temperatures are being taken. We're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing the other.
And I think that'll be the solution.
And that is, realistically, that is different, isn't it, to us as human beings? If you've got something over here that is being, whether you agree with the testing, if they're paying for it, so be it. But if they're being tested and monitored, all of them, all the football clubs, and then they're coming together, and they're being, there's going to be a little element of risk, but
it's over a month.
Their elements of risk will be a lot smaller than us going for a kick.
And it'll be the first thing. But the first thing will probably be, in terms of the first part of what the government say, which will be, some workers can go back, but they must have staggered start times. So what the clubs will probably do is go 6 of you coming for training, and then another 6 of you coming for training, and then another 6, and we'll work in different places at the same time, and you'll all be tested beforehand, and you'll all have heat, and
thermometers.
I think that's the way they'll get around it, but we'll have to wait and see. I just thought it was very interesting today that what they said,
real financial.
What he was saying was, what he was saying was actually these businesses will go under, and
how do you think just very quickly, how do you think they get round a reduction from the television companies? Because they're not buying the same product, are they? Do you think they almost have to have a trade-off and say, you can have another year? Because I know that's been mentioned a few times. It's not the same product. Steve Harris has just said it. It's football.
You mean for next season?
Yeah.
Because this season...
Well, this season's this season, but for next season, it's a different product.
I know, but
there's no home.
No, I know
venue,
that,
but
it's already in the contract, and I just wonder. That's up to, I don't know. So the Premier League might just go, contract signed, mate. This is not our fault. And ultimately, it isn't their fault.
No, it's not.
So they might just go to the TV companies. You might be getting less of a product, fans, home, stadiums, but you get more people watching. And that's the key.
So you can sell advertising.
And you get more games.
Yeah.
So what you're losing, you're making up for by more people going to your YouTube channel. Oh, I didn't subscribe to the Sky Sports YouTube channel. Now I am. Now I might start watching all those other videos.
And the ads come on.
And what they'll start, if they've got any brains, they'll start putting other shows on. What do they do? They cut shows up and put them on YouTube. The bits you missed, and they'll put it on the Football Daily and all those other things that they've bought into. You get the ads from them. They'll have more games. You'll have ads from them. So
there's other ways.
Don't forget, ultimately, they have the Premier League for people to buy Sky and get eyes on the game. It's what Sky does not care, in a way, or BT, how many people watch an individual game. They care about how many people buy the package. What they might do in September or August is go, Premier League football, the only place to see every game this year, every game, is by having a Sky Q box. This is the perfect time to update to Sky Q. We'll give you it for free instalment, but it's £12 extra a month. And everyone goes, yeah, this probably is, because you know why? We've still got measures in place. The cinemas aren't open, the restaurants aren't maybe not back open properly. You know, do you know what? I'll invest in a home entertainment system, so I'll go and get Sky Q. These are the things that these people have got to think about. Every game's on Sky. Oh, you know what? I'll go buy myself a new telly and I'll get Sky Q, because I ain't leaving the house. I'm not going to the pub.
Or the match.
Yeah, so why wouldn't you? See, I've saved, how much money have I saved with my season ticket? Do you know what I'll do? I'll go and buy a new new telly and I'll get Sky Q, and it's covered for the season, and that's my season. And that's the way they've probably got to think about it. You know, YouTube games, well, I want to watch them on the big telly. Oh, YouTube on Sky Q? Oh, I've got all the games in one place now. That's the way to do it, isn't it? That's the way to think about it. And then you can watch our channel on your Sky Q box. On your box new telly.
There you go.
And that's the way they got to do it. There you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think football clubs should be more honest and open about the finances and how this has affected them all? Baz is already on there trying to look into the finances.
I'm seeing now if I can get Sky Q.
Getting in there.
Ahead of the game.
Or you're just going to continue like Baz with your hooky box. There you go. Thanks for watching. Make sure you give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you want more great videos, join us over on Patreon, where we do live shows every day. The link's in the description. See you later.